We didn't just bring the plants, we brought the people who grow them. Join us for a quick look at the incredible vendors who made our Saturday Festival kickoff so special.
All right, good afternoon. Dave Dickey here, back at Waters Garden Center. I am going to be talking about Woodburn Nursery. We are a supplier to Waters Garden Center. We are out of Woodburn, Oregon. Woodburn Nursery is a family-run nursery that's been around for about 70 years. We are located in Woodburn, Oregon. The nursery is about 700 acres. We primarily grow shrubs, perennials, and smaller evergreens. Today we're going to talk about some of the shrubs that that Waters carries that I think are fun and interesting. One of the things that makes Woodburn special is everything is container grown from start to finish. We incorporate fertilizers into our mix to make sure that the plants are healthy and continue to grow once they get to your garden center and once they go into the ground for your customer. Woodburn prunes their plants more than some of the other nurseries do, so you get a nice full plant that fills out the pot and looks great when it hits the garden center floor. One of the lilacs that I really like, we're going to talk about two lilacs today. This is Centura Double Blue. It's a proven winner. From a production standpoint, the growers really like it because they all finish very consistently, and the crop is always very uniform. From a retail standpoint, it's a double blooming lilac. So the flowers are just starting to open up, but if you can kind of see in the picture, it's a double flowered lilac. So it's going to have a really nice big bloom and with a double flower. It's very fragrant. The scent is very nice. You also see it gets a lot of flower buds on a smaller plant. So it tends to have a large amount of buds on a 3-gallon, which is also nice from a sales perspective because it makes it easier to sell when you got a lot of flowers. And then in the landscape, it also is a very heavy bloomer. So you can kind of sell that. It's a selling point to the customers. It's a very profuse bloomer in the landscape, but it's a full-size lilac. So you're going to get in that 6 to 10 foot by about 6 to 8 feet wide. So it's a full-size lilac, and that is Centura Double Blue. Another lilac that I really like, we talked about this a little bit earlier. This is Prairie Petite. All right, this is a true dwarf lilac. There are a lot of dwarf lilacs out on the market that claim to be dwarf. Very few of them are actually truly dwarf, what you think of as dwarf. This is a true dwarf lilac. This gets only 4 feet. The nursery I worked at originally 20 years ago had a plant that was 30 years old and it was 4 feet in Ohio. This plant in my yard gets about 2 to 3 inches of growth a year. It is an old-fashioned style lilac, so you're going to get the lavender blooms. They get about this big. Once again, it's a pretty good bloomer. You see a bunch of lilac blooms on here right now. But it is truly a nice dwarf lilac. Mine that I planted about 8 years ago when it was about that big is really only about that big now. So it stays really nice and small. Ken pointed out, you really don't need to prune this. It's a plant that you really don't need to touch. You don't need to worry about it. It's a plant you can literally just plant and just let it go. So this is Prairie Petite Lilac. Full sun. Ideally, you don't want to have this in shade, or it's not going to set blooms as well as you want it to. And then we're going to jump in and talk about a new Korean fir that we've added to the mix. It's called Icebreaker, a very unique twisted curled needle, white on top, green on the bottom. Kind of grows like a globosa spruce in its habit, about 2 to 3 by 2 to 3. Can at times set, if it sometimes will set a little bit of a leader, and if you don't prune that out, it can then kind of form a little bit of a pyramidal habit to it and kind of do like a little baby spruce. If it doesn't do that, it'll just be kind of a rounded form, but I have seen it sometimes out in nature kind of just set a little bit of a leader and then it turns into a little baby spruce. It does say full sun on the tag, but I think out here in our Western climate, we want to put that in a little bit of shade. I think it's going to do a little bit better with this white foliage here to not being fully exposed to our Western sun. So I think partial shade is ideal for this Korean fir. It's fairly drought tolerant once it's established, but it's going to need some water to get going out of the gate. But it's a beautiful, beautiful, soft needled fir, soft to the touch, not pokey like junipers and things like that. And then just has this beautiful, beautiful white needle to it. So this is icebreaker Korean fir. And then manzanitas. This is something Woodburn has really gotten to be known for. We grow the Plant Select manzanitas. You may be familiar with Plant Select, you may not. Plant Select is kind of like the proven winners for the Intermountain region. It was created by the Denver Botanic Gardens in conjunction with Colorado State University in Fort Collins and a bunch of local nurseries in Colorado. Over time, we've introduced a lot of perennials, different shrubs that are designed for the Intermountain region that do really well in our harsh mountain climate. Manzanitas are something that are some of the shrubs that got introduced through Plant Select. This is Chieftain. There's 3 different selections of hardy manzanitas that were introduced through Plant Select. They're all uniquely different in their own way. Chieftain gets about 2.5 to 3 feet tall and gets about 6 to 8 feet wide. I like Chieftain. It's a little bit different than the other ones because it has a much larger leaf. It's about double the size of Panchito and mock bearberry in its leaf size. It also grows a little bit more open, so it has kind of more of a more native-y kind of texture to it. The manzanitas get an exfoliating kind of silvery bark. So not silver, I'm sorry, like a coppery orangish bark. And so it allows you to kind of see inside with the kind of open habit that it has. And it's evergreen. Manzanita is also one of the earliest things to flower. They tend to bloom in March or early April. And so they're one of the early pollinators. So they provide a food source for hummingbirds and bees early on in the season when a lot of other things are not flowering. It's a beautiful little bell-shaped flower, similar like a pieris. They are evergreen. They are a native. If you drive around, you'll see manzanitas all over the place in Arizona. So it's a native shrub that does really, really well here. Once it's established, it's extremely xeric. Really does not need much artificial water once it's established. So this is Chieftain manzanita. And then this is mock bearberry. It's another manzanita. This is more of a ground cover. So this is going to get only about 8 to 12 inches tall. And this will spread once again to that 6 to 8 feet wide. And this is kind of like a kinnikinnick, but it's got a bigger leaf, kind of similar to Panchito. Once again, it gets that exfoliating bark that you're looking for, and it also flowers, just like the other manzanitas, that small bell-shaped flower. The one thing I like about the manzanitas is they'll take full sun. They'll also take a fair bit of shade. So they've got a lot of versatility to them. They can be planted in a lot of different places. In the shade, I find that they tend to grow a little bit more compact versus in full sun, where they seem to be more happy and they seem to spread and grow a little bit faster. So in the shade, they will be a little bit more slower growing. But the great thing is that it's a great evergreen that'll grow really well in the shade. It'll grow really great in the full sun. So they're very adaptable to different places and different places you can plant them. And once again, once they're established, they're very, very, very low water. So manzanitas are a great option for our dry Arizona climate. So that's some of the Woodburn plants today. And yeah, we've got a lot of new great plants and perennials that'll be coming in just a couple weeks from Woodburn, and we look forward to you guys selling them.
Community is what grows the best gardens. Thank you to our amazing vendors and everyone who spent their Saturday with us. We're open 7 days a week to help your garden thrive. Come see us.